It is March. Welcome to March. The first time I took a sales job was 1998, August of 1998. I went to go work for the newspaper, NAC, the newspaper corporation. I don't remember what the A stood for. All I know is that I sold advertising for the Salt Lake Tribune and Deseret News, two different newspapers that were printed by the same company. One at that time was coming out in the morning, one was coming out in the afternoon. Eventually, they both came out in the morning. But I went out and I had a territory where I would sell advertising spots for retail. Now, in my eyes, this was my first ever sales job. 30 years old, first ever sales job. But as I really look at it, I'd been in sales all along, even back when I was at my first job at Taco Bell. I was in sales. If I wasn't necessarily recommending what somebody should get, I was just order taking. It was still a matter of how well I took the order, the experience that I created for the person ordering. And jobs I had after that at ad agencies while I was a graphic designer, I also put together presentations and spoke to potential clients and current clients about using the designs that we created, using the ad campaigns we created. So I was selling then too, even though it wasn't quite as directly as I would do when I was selling newspaper advertising. And I've done a ton of sales since then, both as a presenter uh, for people to people, as an ambassador, where I would get up and I would try to convince parents and kids to take trips across the world to learn more about other countries. Not sure whatever happened to that company in today's particular society. I've sold for magazines, I've sold for internet sites, all sorts of sales. And of course, I've told you that I am working again as my primary job selling advertising for the Boulder Daily Camera and other surrounding newspapers in our network. So I'm back in sales. But I was always in sales, and I've never left sales, and I will never leave sales. Because even as a coach, I'm selling my skills as a speaker and coach to people who might want to hire me. That's sales. As a speaker, I'm selling my ideas to people, my thoughts, my perspective when I am on stage, and I'm selling the strategies that I'm giving people so that they can live a win anyway life, so that they can lead anyway in their life. Whatever the speech may be, there are aspects of it that I have to sell to the people listening to me. But none of this really tells you what I'm trying to say, which is what is the first rule of sales? There are a lot of first rules that people come up with, that you have to mirror what the other person's doing, and you have to research who you're selling to, know your client, know the customer. Well, I'm going to tell you what I think the first rule of sales is, because it's a rule that when I haven't followed it or when it just hasn't worked out, uh, it's why I haven't succeeded at various companies that I've worked for, as opposed to succeeding at other companies that I have and am working for. And that is belief. Belief in the product. If you don't believe what you're selling in, if you don't believe that it works, that it's worth what you're selling it for, you're not going to be able to sell it. You're going to fail. Unless, I guess, you're just such a slimy human being that you don't care. But I don't think most of us are that way. And I think any of us, if we truly believe in what we're selling, can do a better job of selling it. Now, there are a lot of other skills that have to line up after that. But belief in product, belief in service, belief in self, because you're selling yourself too. They buy you first of all before they buy what you're selling specifically. And if you don't believe in it, then you're not going to believe in yourself. There have been some companies I've worked for that I looked at the prices And I thought, this just isn't worthwhile. And I might have been wrong. I mean, they were successful companies. Other people were selling. I might have been wrong. But my perception was that it wasn't worth what I was selling it for, or that they weren't truly giving what they said they were going to give to the customer in terms of maybe how many people they reached, or how effective the advertising was for some places that I sold advertising for. We won't talk about Yellow Pages though. There are other companies that I've worked for just a couple of weeks or even a couple of months. I don't tend to stay in jobs where I realize that I don't believe in what I'm doing, which opens up a whole nother can of worms. But we're not going to talk about it today. I am now at over a year at the job that I currently have because I do believe in the Boulder Daily Camera. I do believe in newspaper advertising now. Even though people say newspaper advertising is dead, look at it this way. If you buy an ad in the newspaper, the person who's still getting that newspaper wants to get that newspaper. If it's a paid subscription, they desperately still want to read that newspaper, because why else would you possibly subscribe? It's not just a default setting in our society anymore. So, if anything, newspaper advertising is more effective now than it ever was. And that's just the beginning. I'm not here to sell you a newspaper ad. What I'm here to sell you is your need to believe in what you're selling. Whether you're actually selling a product, whether you're selling a service, whether you're just selling yourself, selling your ideas, selling your perspective, selling yourself on who you want to be, on the goals you want to achieve, there's one. Do you believe you need to do whatever goal it is you have in mind? Do you truly believe you need to accomplish it? Not can you accomplish it, do you need to accomplish it? Do you believe that? If you don't, you're not going to be able to sell yourself on actually accomplishing it. So there you go. First rule of sales: believe in what you're selling. And I believe you should go out, have a win anyway day.